Hi, this is Kölsch, and you're watching Bientôt TV.
Mesdames et messieurs, bonjour, bienvenue sur Bientôt TV. Aujourd'hui, je suis avec quelqu'un que vous aurez sûrement reconnu. Il n'a pas son chapeau aujourd'hui, mais il est quand même l'auteur de tubes comme Grey, Kuntak ou encore Hal. Mesdames et messieurs, Rune Rei Kölsch. Hello, how are you?
Very good,
What's
how are
your
you?
state of mind?
I'm pretty good, pretty relaxed, just had some dinner. I'm in a top mood today.
Okay, perfect. Let's start the interview. You have one hell of a career.
Mhm.
It's safe to say that. How would you describe the scene in 2023 compared to your debuts?
Oh, it's so big. It's changed a lot over the years. It's when I started, it was very, very bespoke. It was quite a small scene, especially in Denmark. It was like 200, 300 people at the most. We didn't know anything else. And now it's just enormous. It's everybody. It's everywhere. It's incredible how electronic music has spread so much over the years and impacted so many lives. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I can only agree with that. And how do you manage to keep your sounds fresh and to renew yourself over the years?
It's the constant challenge, isn't it? Finding inspiration and seeing, okay, what can I do to not repeat myself? That's the challenge of any artist, to see how to evolve as a human being as well. But from a technical standpoint, there's always more to learn in producing music, obviously. But there's also an endless path of inspiration to find, be it jazz, classical music, whatever. There's so much to listen to and so much to find inspiration in.
Yeah. Do you have a source, a certain source that helps you a lot to find music? I don't know, like running or...
No, it comes at the weirdest times, in all honesty. It could be from a film, like a phrase of a film, or it could be a moment. It could be a sunset. Anything, really. It comes and then it's like, there it was.
Is it the thing that gives your music this kind of cinematographic side, you know, with long intros, very melodic stems?
It could be. I mean, I think a lot of that comes from who you are as a person, as a producer, and what you want to say and what you want to project with what you do emotionally. And there's always something you're trying to work through. I think a lot of music, especially for me, has been very therapeutical over the years. You know, I've had a troubled childhood that I've been working through music, and that's the main reason I started making music, and probably the main reason why I still make music.
I remember that you said in another interview that you started your music on an Amiga.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And do you still have it?
I have it in the basement.
Okay, so it's still here.
Yeah, but it's pretty. The music's pretty terrible, in all honesty. But we have to start somewhere.
Exactly, exactly. Next question is: I noticed that unlike other artists, your social media is not the same as the whole scene. You know, it's pretty confidential, very private, but it gives it a certain artsy thing. Can you explain why this choice?
I wanted my social media to be an extension of what album art used to be, artwork. You know, when you'd buy an album on vinyl and you'd listen to the record and you'd read through the material and what was going on. And I wanted the social media part of my life to be that, the equivalent of that. I think it's so important to uphold the story. A lot of times we're obsessed with our idols. I become obsessed with people that I think are amazing. You know, for instance, I've had a recent obsession with different techno producers, but I've realized I don't want to know much about them because it destroys the mystery of the music somehow.
The image, yeah.
You know, when I started DJing, we'd buy white labels. We didn't know who it was. We didn't know if it was a man or a woman or 16 people, whatever it was. It didn't matter because it was incredible. And I love that idea that it is not about the individual, but more about the music in itself. And that's what I'm trying to do with the social media.
Okay, so you think that the scene is going like superstardom DJs with lots of communication, but less music?
I think that's happening to a certain extent. Yes, it's not that I have a problem with that, because people chose their own way to do things. I think it's also incredibly impressive how people work their social medias in that way. I think that's kind of cool too. It's just not my way.
Okay. Staying on the private thing, you did a set on the church last year in Alpe for certain ticket holders. And it was very intimate, very ambient. How did you prepare for this set? That it's a set that is not like the usual ones, the main stage ones. How did you prepare for that?
It was basically all the music that I was listening to at the time. I mean, I have a great interest continuously in music and especially in neoclassical, and I explore all kinds of stuff all the time. But I always have a folder that I'm collecting stuff that maybe not fits into anything, but I just enjoy listening to. And it was a perfect excuse to listen to that.
Okay, you're gonna hit the main stage in like 2 hours, I think. We were at La Folie Douce yesterday, and it was madness. Can we expect something different because of the difference of the vibe?
I guess so. Let's see.
We'll see that. Okay, going on your production, you released an EP on Compact Records, your friend Michael Myers label. And can you describe the creative process behind those two tracks, the two new tracks, especially because of the lockdowns that came before? Did it change your way to produce music?
It changed the way I produce music in the sense that I used to have, and still do, test my music a lot. Like when I play sets, I always play a lot of demos and a lot of unreleased material because I want to feel how it works.
Yeah.
And obviously during lockdown, that wasn't really a possibility. And I always thought that somehow it wouldn't make much of a difference, but it had a huge impact on the way I produce and make music. Really, it changed a lot. But what was interesting about it is that I had to re-find an inner confidence in what I was doing.
Okay.
Whereas before I could kind of always test it out and say, okay, this works, this is the big record, whatever. And now I've gone back to kind of just trusting my instinct, which is very liberating somehow, because that's what I used to do back in the days. But the two new tracks on Compact are Cold Air and Environ, and they're very much focused on kind of a 90s rave kind of vibe.
Exactly.
Environ is very techno, but still melodic. And for Cold Air, I had this idea I wanted to make. I have an obsession with like 80s rock music.
Yeah.
And they always have these synth stabs, and they sound really plastic, but they have this power to them, and I love that sound.
Like Depeche Mode or Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah, exactly. But even they have these particular like really just because at the time synths were not very good. And they just made them sound really good. And I wanted to make like a techno record with a lead that has that 80s feel to it. And that's what Cold Air is.
Okay. So talking about your next releases, would you want to tease some of these releases for fans? Or
I've got a collab coming out with Kevin DeRees, which has been on the way for a long time. And then the new album coming in this fall.
Ooh,
yeah.
Nice. Which month?
I don't know yet. I don't know yet.
Okay.
I still have to finish it.
We'll wait for it. We'll talk about it. Let's talk about Ipso, your label.
Sure.
We noticed that you release on it, you release on Compact, you release on Afterlife. Do you want to develop Ipso more? Do you think that it's a label that you can call home and release certain tracks, or do you want it to keep it that way?
Ipso is a very specific project. So I noticed over the years that most labels owned by DJs tend to lock artists that they sign into a fairly low element in the food chain. There's always like the top guy or the top group, and then everybody else is kind of under that. And I never liked that idea. I thought it was a terrible idea. So on Ipso, I only do collabs with people that I like.
The Fire.
Because I want it to be an equal opportunity. I want it to be something that we do together, and nobody has to run away with the spotlight or benefit more than the other person. So usually it's friends or people that I admire that I am so fortunate to work with.
Yeah.
And then we end up making music together, and we often develop different concepts for whatever music it is, and we're like, oh, we're going to do this together, we're going to do this together. But I want it to be kind of a playground. I don't want it to be a serious thing. It's so important for me that it keeps on being experimental and loose and also joyous. It has to be fun. If it's not fun, then why do it?
Okay. Another thing is that you had a residency on Studio Brussels.
Like in the lockdown, yes, true.
Yeah. for 2021, I think. Do you consider like working on the radio as a host, like Pete Tong or something like this?
I like it, but the thing is, it's very time-consuming, and I think it's important as a human being to focus on what you're good at. And I think I'm better at producing music than being a radio host. Although I really enjoy it, I've once in a while I had a residency at Radio 1 also for a couple of years, which was great fun. But I think maybe down the line this is something that I'll explore. But at the moment, I'm still focused on making music and performing.
Okay, do you manage to conciliate like your personal life with your music at the moment? Is it hard?
It's always hard. It's always hard. I think it's hard for everybody. You know, if you're getting into this business, you have to realize you're going to miss out on all your friends' weddings and all the birthdays and all. That's how it is, and it's often really, really tough for the families to be part of this. You know, but there's also so much else. You know, we make people so happy, and it's again, music is probably the only thing in the world that doesn't have a negative side to it. You know, I'm performing on the main stage. I'm happy. The crowd is happy. Everybody there is having a great experience. If you go to a football match, somebody has to lose, right? Yeah. So somebody's going to be unhappy. I just love the idea that everybody is benefiting from this.
That's beautiful, yeah. That's very inspiring. Last but not least, because you're going to hit maybe your room to prepare something. Our fans had a question. I was at Folidus yesterday, and somebody told me, where do you buy your hats?
You know what? I actually just started making them myself.
Ooh.
Yeah. So there'll be a limited release of the hats soon coming via my socials.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you
we
very
wish
much.
you a very good set.
Absolutely.
C'était Mino pour Guet-Apens TV. À vous les studios.